All right, we got to take a break of all the discussion about mask mandates being lifted in a lot of school districts. They're going optional after Friday's ruling by a Sangamon County judge here in Springfield, saying that the governor's executive orders on mask mandates are null and void. We'll be following that story for the rest of the week. Something else we're going to be following for the months ahead is the November election. But before that election, we've got a primary to get through. So there's going to be a lot to consider on that June 28th primary. But after the primary, marching right towards the November general election, still even more choices voters are going to have to make. I'm Greg Bishop. Thanks for taking time with us here on the WMAY morning news feed. Let's talk now with a candidate for comptroller. She's a Republican vying to get the GOP nomination for the June 28th primary. Her name is Shannon Teresi, and she joins us now. Shannon, thanks for taking time with us on WMAY. Let's start by telling people who is Shannon Teresi. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks, Greg, for having me. So I will jump right in. I am a mom to two wonderful boys. I am a wife. I've been married 16 years, and currently I get plenty of use of my minivan, driving to soccer and baseball practice all the time. I grew up in a small town in Marengo with cornfields in my backyard, and I'm currently the McHenry County Auditor running for Comptroller of Illinois. And I have found as McHenry County Auditor that nowhere it's more important to root out corruption than when it comes to taxpayer dollars. And yet, Greg, what we're seeing is Illinois has a career politician, Susanna Mendoza, acting as a steward of our money. She's not an accountant. She's not even an auditor. And these are the connections is what's causing that make it possible for the corruption Illinois has come to be known for. Greg, Susanna Mendoza is using this office just as a stepping stone. She's following along the path that's laid out for her by the Madigan machine, and she tries to hide the reality of our state's finances. Greg, when the truth is we've taken on even more debt and she's further jeopardized the financial future of Illinois. Mendoza is not qualified to be comptroller, and she's not even an accountant. We're seeing real issues with this too. In 2020, she put out unclean financials, and that's not acceptable for a business. It's not acceptable for your finances, and it's definitely not acceptable for this state. And I am a CPA, a certified fraud examiner, certified internal auditor with real-world financial experience and a proven track record. Mendoza is not an accountant, and I will be the people's accountant.
We're talking with Shannon Teresi. She is vying for the Republican nomination for comptroller here on the WMAY morning news feed. Shannon, the comptroller, Susanna Mendoza, I've talked to her plenty of times about the work that she's done, shoring up the backlog of bills. She heralds that as a major accomplishment, and a variety of other things, and as well as helping the state get a positive credit upgrade. Are those not good accomplishments?
Greg, the truth is the state we're still 50 out of 50. We're the worst state with a credit rating. If you see a map of all the states, all the states are green. Illinois is sitting in the center, red. No other states have a credit rating like Illinois does. And she's currently, the bill backlog is just switching out liabilities. She has taken on even more debt. The deficit has grown under Susanna Mendoza and J.B. Pritzker, and just $5 billion last year and $50 billion during their term. And this is not acceptable. This is not a way to handle taxpayer dollars.
Shannon Teresi, you are, of course, vying for the Republican nomination. Talk about, I guess, the one-party rule we've had in Illinois, not just with the General Assembly and Democrats in the House and Senate driving legislation, but these past 3 years we've had all major statewide office holders as Democrats. Is it important to have some diverse opinions when it comes to these statewide offices?
Definitely. So what we're seeing is there's new indictments of career politicians regularly, and in Springfield, and it's a decades long practice of abusing taxpayer dollars. Do you know that Illinois is the most corrupt state, according to a study from the University of Illinois? This is in our own state, telling us we're the most corrupt state in the nation. And in McHenry County, we set up an environment where corruption cannot occur by having a workflow. Departments have to ask permission before they buy things. And it, it can be done to address corruption in the position of controller. And I will work closely with the Inspector General's office to root out waste and abuse that is rife in our state. And I am running with a slate together to fight corruption, reduce crime, and cut taxes. It is most important in this election to get this done, and we need a wholesale change, top to bottom. And the best way to do that is to get to root out corruption and to elect this slate.
We're talking with Shannon Teresi. She is a Republican vying for the GOP nomination for comptroller. And of course, we've got a primary June 28th, and the general midterm is in November. Shannon, so of course, we're going to talk with you some more as the months progress, I
Yep.
imagine. But one thing that has been brought up, and even one of the candidates on the slate you mentioned, Tom Demmer, he's looking to be the treasurer. And we've seen this
hmm
proposed in the past, is combining the comptroller and the treasurer's offices. Is that something you'd be on board with?
Yes, definitely. So this plan that Demers introduced will save nearly $12 million, and it will decrease the size of government. In the short term, we could implement ways to collaborate the two offices, but this is also can be done in all the state offices. And serving as your comptroller, I will be having regular meetings to make sure we have correct financial information coming from these state offices. And those will be opportunities to identify risk and bring about change in those offices and find ways to do things better. I'm the McHenry County Auditor, and that's what I do full time. I'm a change agent, and I work collaboratively with departments. So I would love an opportunity to work with Representative Demmer to ensure the most important duties of the controller's office are accomplished and root out fraud, waste, and abuse between the two offices.
Well, and I think one thing too, and finally here, we've seen delayed comprehensive annual financial reports in the state of Illinois year
Right.
after year after year. Talk about the importance of having those audited financials, especially before going into what we're going to see happen here in the next couple of weeks at the state legislature, budget season.
Right. And currently, they issue qualified financials, which means you can't rely on a vast majority of the financial statements the state issued. So in McHenry County, I've prepared the financial statements. I've worked with departments. I've implemented new financial systems at McHenry County, and it's so important. I can't stress enough having financial statements that the state can rely on, and not just the state, the departments, but the taxpayers. And going into this, we're getting federal money, and what we see in McHenry County is if we're not being accountable with those dollars, we have to return them back to the federal government. And so we take extra precautions in McHenry County to make sure that does not occur. And so I can't stress enough the importance of having a professional accountant in the role of comptroller going forward, uh, especially due to the federal dollars and in this next legislation group season coming up.
Shannon Teresi, any website people can get more information about your candidacy?
Yes, ShannonTeresi.com, just my first name, last name.
And the spelling of the last name?
It's T as in Tom, Eresi.
Shannon Teresi, we'll definitely be talking again in the near future, I imagine. Be safe out there and enjoy the weather.
I will. I like the snow right now.
I'm a
It's
fan of it too. I'm a
a
fan of the
good
snow
break.
too. All right,
My
appreciate
kids
it.
enjoy it.
Yep, be safe out
Thanks.
there. It is the
Thanks.
double